Hello, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend and you're ready to go here. So just as a reminder, last week's 5-minute money maker. Hey, buddy, bozo, liar, thief. You've been called these and worse things, Ken Fisher. So I know a lot of you read this because we had a lot of requests for that information. So hopefully that was helpful to all of you. The 5-minute breakdown, or the 5Q tape breakdown. Ever get a client says okay when you ask them an open-ended question? Here's how to deal with it. So if you get clients, when you ask them an open-ended question, say, okay, yep, then this is a way to get them, without causing a problem, in a very nice, easy way to get them to answer that as an open-ended question with a complete thought instead of just yep, because we can't move forward without a yeah, with just a yeah or a So make sense? Okay. So remember, these are the people we are going after. They are the middle income, upper middle income, lower wealthy people. And do they have a problem in the world, guys? Excuse me. Do they have any problems? No, bud, they don't. Nope. Everybody else is saying nope, 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 nope. No. Are they driving the cars they want? Yep. Are they going on vacation when they want? Yep. Are they going out to eat when they want? Yep. So they don't have a problem in the world. They're living life, at least the people we want to work with. So here's the problem with that. First of all, when it comes to marketing, are you ever going to get somebody who's pre-sold with marketing? And the people we're after, are they going to come in pre-sold? Whatever they saw in the marketing, they're ready to buy. Well, if they're living the life, the obvious answer is what? No, because the only thing that can screw up what they currently have is changing. Because if they keep doing what they're doing now, guys, if they keep doing what they're doing now, are they going to continue to be able to live the life they are? Yeah. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's right, Jeff. So these people are going to win, that you're going to get in front of with marketing are going to be tire kickers and plate lickers. So how good do you have to be before you do any type of marketing with a 21-point checklist? Because what does the 21-point checklist do? It turns tire kickers and plate lickers, it turns these people who are happy as can be into clients. So that's what we're trying to do here. So Harvard Business Review just had an article by Josh Burson he was talking about how to get somebody to adopt your point of view. Describe a painful or difficult situation. So, guys, do these people have painful situations? See, that's a trick question. Do these people have a painful situation? Not that they know of, exactly right, David. Not that they know of. So what situation? Let's see how many people can get this right. What painful or difficult situation are we going to have them discover? What painful or difficult situation are we going to have them discover with the 21-point checklist? No, Dave, not POA beneficiaries. No, guys. Okay, now we're getting some good answers. So all of you that put down POA, beneficiaries, medical, when you put down those things, guys, who can fix those things? Who can fix the POA? Who can fix the beneficiaries? Who can fix the fees? Who can fix the medical? Who can fix every single thing of the 21-point checklist? Okay, now everybody's getting it. The painful or difficult situation they're going to find out is what? The guy they've been utilizing, the guy they've put their trust in, has been taking advantage of them. You know, first they're going to discover that there's some things that he could have been doing better. Then they're going to find some things that he actually forgot to do, negligence. And they're finally going to discover, wait a minute, this guy purposely omitted things. And how do we know that their guy purposely omitted things? Because when we go through the financial things, guys, if the client knew all about the things that we're showing them, if the client knew up front about how the fees worked, about how turnover worked, about how manager tenure worked, about how the risk reward was, and how the correlation was, if they knew all that stuff up front, would they have invested? I want everybody to answer this. Would they have invested the way they had? they knew all that stuff up front, would they ever have invested the way they had? Everybody's saying no. That's exactly right. So then why did the advisor not show them that? I know that you want to be collegial. I know you want to give the other advisor the benefit of the doubt. But if the client had known all those things, would they have invested with that guy? No. So the client comes to the conclusion, geez Louise, he didn't show me these things. When you do this right, they come to the conclusion he didn't show me these things because he had a motive. If he'd shown me these things, I would have never worked with him the way I have, which means he would not have made any money from me. See, so that's the painful or difficult situation we're going to find. A problem they didn't even realize they had. So guys, look at Harvard Business Review. We're check. Have we checked off these two things? Check and check. Explain the problem. Now here's the difference. Here's one thing I think they have wrong. We don't explain the problem. Who explains the problem for us? Because if you explain the problem, it's going to be a problem. If they explain a problem, then it becomes their problem. Propose a solution. Now we won't do this at the 20-point checklist. We actually propose this, actually I'll take that back. Not only do we not explain the problem, we don't propose the solution. So how do they propose the solution? They ask us for the solution. That's right, Dave. They ask us, will you take over our accounts for us? So look, I mean, guys, the stuff that you're doing, the stuff we're asking you to do with 5Q, this is science. This is proven by the highest levels of business training. This is proven by the highest levels of neuroscience. This is proven technology. When you use it, it works, okay? Because here's the thing. How much effort will one of these people that we're working with, people who have no problems in their minds, have no problems in the world until we have them discover it, how much effort will they take for a good idea? How much effort will they make for a good idea? The people that are, living the life, that are driving the cars they want, going on vacation they want, when they go out to eat when they want, that's right, Dave, none. They won't take a single iota piece of effort. And unfortunately, how do most advisors sell? Look at my good idea. Look at this. Look at my good idea about saving you taxes. Look at my good idea about getting you more income. Look at my good idea about getting a higher return. Look at my good idea. No. They think, hey, you know what? I'm doing okay now. The only thing that can screw up what I have right now is making a change. So why would I want to do anything to make that change? So what we do is have them discover that they have the worst problem in the world, which is that the guy they're working with, the guy that's handling their retirement, is taking advantage of them, is disrespecting them, is hiding things from them so he can make money on them. Guys, when can that problem be fixed by their guy? Is that a problem that can be fixed by their current advisor? No, that's the one problem they have to leave him to get fixed. Does that make sense? So here's a couple of things that I read last week from two researchers in neuroscience and cognitive science. The first, these two people actually did a study together, which we'll talk about in a second. But when I looked up to find pictures of them, they both had some good quotes. So Sheena had, when we speak of choice, what we mean is the ability to exercise control over ourselves and our environment. In order to choose, we must first perceive that control is possible. So how do we utilize this? Yes. Because if I try to tell them what they should do they feel like they have control? If I try to explain to them their problem, if I try to explain to them why they need to be doing what they're doing, do they feel like they have control, or do they feel like I'm trying to control them? See, it feels like I'm trying to control them. That's why we ask questions to let them discover for themselves. Then they feel like they have control. That's right, Dave. They have to own it, and then they'll want to get it fixed for themselves. Okay? And this is the second researcher that we're going to talk about. Expert tutors often do not help very much. What? Expert tutors often do not help very much. That is crazy. What the heck is he talking about? They hang back, letting the student manage as much as possible. When things go awry, rather than help directly, they raise questions. Oh my gosh, who does these things, guys? Who acts like this? Yeah, we do. So obviously then we become what? The 5Q system is teaching you to become what? Expert what? No, you don't want to be the expert, Dave. That's wrong. You don't want to be the expert. You want to be an expert what? That's right, Jeff. Expert tutor. So, Jeff Freeberg, what's the difference between being an expert and being an expert tutor?
An expert would try and tell you everything. He'd try and show you how smart he was. An expert tutor will let you discover things for yourself, let you be the smart one.
And do you see how it said, could you explain this stuff again? How did you, do you see how open-ended questions, so the person that they're tutoring explains with complete thoughts so they know they get it. So these are just two quotes from these two researchers, but the research I want to actually talk about that they did, this is just one piece of research they did. They actually set up an experiment in a grocery store. And they gave people the show outside in the parking lot of a grocery store. They gave people and tried to sell people jam and jelly. And they gave them 100 different choices. 100 different choices, and 3% bought. So they gave them 100 different choices. They had all these little samples up, crackers, 100 different choices, and 3% bought. So what do you think? Let's see if anybody can intuit what we're going to talk about here. So how do you think they improved this percentage of buying? Everybody's getting a good job, guys. Fewer choices. When they went to 6 choices, sales skyrocketed by 900%. 9 times as much jam and jelly was sold when they went from 100 choices down to 6 choices. So the more choices you have, the harder it is to make a decision, the more likely you are to walk away. The chance of getting anything done, the more choices you give them, the chance of it going down goes, of anything getting done goes down. So it does, give them 2 choices or 3 choices. 3 choices is the best. 3 choices is the best. 1 choice doesn't work because if you give them the choice of doing something and doing nothing, guess what people will choose to do? Nothing. That's right. That's right, Jeff. Nothing. So if you give them a choice of doing something or nothing, they'll do nothing. But if you give them a choice of do this or this, or this or this, then they'll make it's easier to make a choice. But after 3, it goes down, 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 down. The more choice you give them, the more likely anything is to get done. And they actually did this with salespeople too. They gave it wasn't a huge. It was like 40 different salespeople, and they gave those salespeople 100 different things to choices for their clients. And then they went down to 4 choices. And again, it's pretty intuitive what's going to happen. They're just by doing that, they're selling. They did no other changes except that their selling percentage went up by 30% in 1 month. 30% in 1 month. So why do we present the way we do with 5Q? Well, let's talk about this. We use framing questions. In our framing questions, how many choices do we give them when we frame our questions? 2. That's right, Jerry, 2. FIA comparison sales, how many choices do we give them? Think about the the star chart, the star table. How many choices? 3. Very good, Jerry. We give them 3. We say we have what? We have the safe, we have the market, and we have the Warren Buffett option. 21-point checklist. What are we doing? We're having them see everything side by side. See? So we're constantly using this very idea. So today we're going to review a tape, and we're going to talk about the quality of life directive, and we're going to also listen to the end of titling. So as I'm bringing this up, start typing in, please, somebody tell me what we want that client to say at the end of the quality of life directive. What do we want? So as I'm bringing this up, somebody type in, what do we want the client to say? If we know we've done an awesome quality of life directive, what do we want them to say at the end of the quality of life directive? Oops, actually doing something silly here. Jonathan's got it. Very good, Jonathan. Yeah, I would hope that they would say, why did my guy help me with this? quality of life directive is the one thing that we're not going to get them to say that with. We won't get them to say that with the quality of life directive, but we do want them to say what? How do we know? We want what's going to make them come? What's going to coax them to come on board with this? What's going to make sure they come back to that next meeting? Again, we're going to do this 21 different times. This is one of the lesser ones, but we still want them to say it. What do we want them to say? That not having this document is going to be a big problem. Okay? We need to do this as soon as possible. That's what we know about Joe. Exactly right. So here we go. So this is the quality of life directive. So I'm going to show you the quality of life directive. It's going to be about 10 minutes long, and then we're going to do just a little bit. We're going to do the end of titling and see if he gets what he needs at the end of titling. So here we go. So watch as we go through and see if he hits all these things. So here we go.
That's fine. Electronically. Quality of life directive. Have you ever heard of that document before? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you ever heard of a living will? Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you know about a living will? What's its purpose? Do you know?
Well, I think the purpose of that would be if you, okay, say I was in a coma, mm-hmm. and there was no hope of me recovering, that they could just pull the plug.
Yeah.
Perfect. And just let me go.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. And most of the time, whenever people think of a living will, they come right back to what you just talked about. It comes back to that plug in the wall. I mean, that's where people.
So is he doing a good job to make sure she at least understands what a living will is, so she'll be able to understand the difference between the two, which is this first, confusion with living will. So he's making sure she doesn't get it confused with a living will. So he's doing a good job with that.
Because of the fact that a lot of us don't like the idea. I don't want a machine to keep me alive. I want to be a breathing corpse. Mm-hmm. If I'm at a point where I'm dead, then just let me go. Get out of here, okay? Yeah. Now, this is different than a living will, okay, in that this does not come out of the legal field like the living will does. This actually comes out of the medical field. All right? So a lot of times, even when you're talking with an attorney, because most of the time anymore.
So now he's telling, selling, preaching, and teaching. That's okay, because this is probably something people are not familiar with. When somebody's not familiar with something, it's okay to tell, sell, preach, and teach so they understand what that thing is, as long as they do what afterwards. As long as they do what afterwards. Very good, Tim. Ask them an open-ended questions. No, Jerry, not tell. Why? Well, I see what you're saying, Jerry. I guess that you just typed it in. They should tell you why. Exactly right. Sorry, Jerry. And Tim, you got it right. So good. You're all getting it. Ask an open-ended question so they understand. So you are certain that they understand what you just explained to them. So there are certain things where you don't want to. I can do it because I've been doing it for 18 years, where I can ask them questions to have them discover something. Early on, when you're still learning the system, sometimes it's more complicated things. You're going to just have to tell them. But then you can't just say, does that make sense? Yep. No, that doesn't work. After you tell them, you have to say, so why? So what is the difference between a living will and a, why do you need both a quality of life directive and a living will? Or what is the difference between a living will and a quality of life? You have to make sure that they understand the difference, and you do that by, after you've told, sold, preached, and taught them, you need to ask an open-ended question, make sure they can repeat it back. Here we go.
When you do a will, they will also suggest and help you walk through. In fact, a lot of times they give you a package deal. You get a will, power of attorney documents, both of them, going in. And sometimes they'll even talk about the living will because that's a legal document. This actually comes out of the medical field, and so attorneys, you suppose they've got enough on their plate to stay ahead with the medical or with the legal stuff, or do you think they're spending a lot of time worrying about what's going on in the medical field?
Probably they're dealing more with the legal.
I can't imagine how they stay ahead of all these goofballs. But what doctors were finding, I actually have a number of clients that are doctors, and it's interesting to have a conversation with them, and that is the fact that a lot of people, there's a lot of decisions that somebody may have to make for me that aren't that difficult. If I fall down out here and I cut my,
Okay, so did he get her to admit that she does not have a quality of life directive? Did he get her to say that? No, he did not. And here's the importance of it. People can still be confused. If they have a living will, they may still think that what they have is good enough. So we need them to admit that they have a living will, but they don't have a quality of life directive. You know, a lot of times I'll surprise them and go into this with like, I see you've got your living will here. Where's the most important half of that? What do you mean the most important half? Well, without that other half, the living will can be one of the worst documents you can ever have in the world. So you don't have, this is it, you don't have the other half? No, we don't. Oh, I guess we better talk about that then. See, that gets, how much attention does it get them then? Like, holy crap, I'm missing something here. See, that's how I'll go into. So they, at that point, do they realize that they don't have one? Yeah, then they immediately recognize it. Now, here's the thing I want you to listen next. He's going into number 2 here. And the whole purpose of this is, hey, a medical, you know, there's certain medical decisions that are easy or hard, that are easy. Now, here's a guy that instead of just following the friggin' script, he decides to go freestyle. And you tell me if the medical condition that he's going to go through is really cut and dried and somebody could answer black and white instantly whether it's easy to make a decision or not. See, that's where I say, hey, now if you break a leg, do I have to think hard? If the doctor says, do you want it set or not set, how hard do I need to think about that? Well, not hard at all. Yeah, what am I going to tell him? Fix it. Yeah, fix it. Do I need to use any brain power, or is he just going to do it? You're just going to do it. Boom. 10 seconds, did I get the answer? Now watch what this guy does, because he wants to, instead of following the script, wants to go freestyle here. So watch how convoluted it gets. Here we go.
By that bus, and I cut my leg wide open. I end up in the emergency room. Okay?
I'm going to back it up.
And they come in, well, here's the decisions you have to make for me that aren't that difficult. All right, you know, if I fall down out here and I cut my, you know, I get hit by that bus and I cut my leg wide open, I end up in the emergency room. Okay? And I'm sitting there and they come in, well, here's the thing. All right? We can stitch it up, but we're looking at about 5 to 6 hours before the next doctor's going to be able to come in and do that. Or we've got these new bandages that have worked out really, really well. They're about 99% effective. We can, you know, squeeze that thing together, use these bandages. Worst case scenario, it might start to seep. You might have to come back in. We have to stitch it up. We can do that right now and get you out of here. Is that going to be a real difficult decision to make?
Guys, is that a black and white decision? Are there people who would say, no, I'd wait for the experts to come in? Were there people that would say, I need to wait for the experts to come in? I might say that. But how many people are going to say, if you break your leg, you're going to say, nah, I'm confused. I don't know whether I should set it or not. How many people are going to say that? So he took something that could be black and white and turned it into something that was confusing. Avram, you know what, Avram? Get your head out of you-know-you-where, and let's talk about what we're talking about here. If you want to talk about all sorts of frickin' medical stuff, then we can talk about that. So pay attention to what we're doing here, Avram. Jesus. So, we want to do very, very simple question. If we break a leg, is there going to be a lot of problems with whether we want to set it or not? No, easy decision, right? The next thing is end of life. That's also cut and dried. So here we go.
Regardless of which way I go, am I going to sit and really hash, oh, I need to go have lunch, I need to think this over, or am I going to be able to make that decision pretty quickly?
You have to make the decision.
Yeah, but I mean, would that be a real tough decision? I mean, is it going to be something I'm going to have to really wrestle with?
Probably not when you're hurting so bad.
Yeah. Well, what about if you had to make, or what if Martha had to make that decision for me? Is that going to be a decision that she's going to just...
Okay, did he go through end of life? No, he jumped right to, great. Now, why do we want to go through end of life? Why do we want to go through end of life? And how that's cut and dried? What document covers end of life generally? The living will. That's right. So that's where we're saying, hey, listen, I know you got a living will, that's cool, but the living will, I mean, it's not a big deal, because you know what? You know what? With the living will, end of life, we have a cut and dry decisions. It's black and white. It's all that stuff in between. So you have to talk about this thing. Yeah, your living will is great, but push comes to shove, it's not that complicated. End of life is not that complicated. So we need the quality of life directive because it handles all those other things, the great things. So now he's going into the great things. Bring it back here.
Or is she just going to make that decision?
She should probably just make it.
Yeah, because it's not, again, it's not really going to impact the rest of my life in a big way. Okay. Then we go to the other extreme, where you were just talking. I'm laying there, I'm unconscious, I'm in a coma. The doctors are saying, it's a vegetative state. We don't sense any brain activity. Basically, he is a breathing corpse. Now, that's going to be a difficult decision from the emotional aspect, but from a common sense, understanding life as we do type of, is that going to be a decision she would be able to make pretty easily? Now, again,
what's he doing here, guys? If you listen to my script, how does he differ? I mean, is it pretty black and white whether they should die or not die? He's saying he's in a coma. Guys, how many problems have people had when they're in a coma with family arguing over that? That's never been a problem. There's never been any lawsuits. There's never been any family torn apart by that. Yes, there's been tons of problems with that. So instead of just following my script, he decides to go freestyle, and he took something that should have been black and white and turned it into something that's gray. So the whole thing he's trying to do is say black and white is black and white, gray is hard. So end of life means what? Hey, if I put in do not resuscitate, because what does that mean? If I say do not resuscitate, if I die, I want to die at the table, what does that mean? It means I want to die if something like that happens. So he turned something that would, first of all, he could have covered in 5-10 seconds, and now he's turning it into he's covered it in 30-40 seconds, so he's taken 10 times as long to cover it, and he's made it confusing for the client. Again, this is the point of the tutorials. The tutorials are going to he's making this script a lot harder than it needs to be. So by thinking, hey, you know what, instead of learning the tutorial, what I'm going to do is I pretty much got it down, and I'm going to go ahead and wing it. So is he causing himself more problems or less problems that he would have covered? I mean, is he going to waste more time or less time than if he just sat down and learned the script backwards and forwards anyways? He's going to end up spending way more time, and he's going to have a lot more problems. So here we go.
To separate the emotional side of it, but if she knows that the only thing that keeps it.
See, because she got confused with it. So now he's going to have to go back and explain even more. And he's going to be in danger of correcting her.
Me breathing is that machine. It's going to be difficult emotionally, but from a common sense standpoint, is that something she's going to be able to figure out pretty quick? Yeah. I mean, obviously, you always have, some. So
he told, sold, preached, teach, and followed with a closed-ended question. So did he get what he wanted? Does she know whether she's following or agrees with her? Because she may not agree with him on that. She may think, no, that's not that easy. That's very complicated. Does he know that? With her, yep. When she says, yep. Does he know that? So right now, we don't know if she agrees with that or not.
Well, but I think my wife's stable enough. She could deal out with it also. All right, but the issue where this comes into play is more those in-between decisions. Okay, an example of that would be, and this is kind of an extreme, but it illustrates the point. If I'm faced with a surgery, okay, and the doctor comes in and he says, here's the thing, you have this disease, and if you don't have this surgery, probably within the next 10 to 12 years, you're going to be completely bedridden. You'll still be alive, but you're going to lose complete use of the lower part of your body. All right, you're going to be completely bedridden. All right, but we have a new surgery. If you come through that surgery, it's like 100% effective, and you'll be able to carry on your life pretty much as you are today. You won't have that issue. All right. But the thing is, you have to make the decision now, because once we start the medication treatment for the one that's going to take you to the bedridden side, there's no backing up. Okay? But here's the issue with the surgery. It's only 50% of the people that go into that surgery live through it. Okay? So now, is that going to be an easy decision to make? Because I have the surgery, and I don't have to worry about getting bedridden if I'm only lucky to have to live. But the other chance is that my life may be really cut short, versus,
again, he's doing better here. He's doing better here, but what's happening? Yeah, Marcus, he's getting too confusing. If you listen to the script, it's similar to the script, but he's taken what I do in about 30 seconds and turned it into 2 minutes of going on, and he's made it an easy question to answer or a more difficult question to answer guys, you want these questions to be as easy as possible. If you don't know how to create a question as easy as possible, there's an easy solution for you. Guys, if you don't know how to create a question that's very easy to answer, there's an easy solution for you. What is that? See how many of you get it. Everybody's getting it. Follow the frigging script. Learn the script. Because, guys, these scripts have been whittled down and fine-tuned for from what I was doing 18 years ago. These things are well-oiled machines. If you think you've only been on for a year or two and you're all of a sudden smart enough to make these questions better, I'm going to be straight with you. You're not. Just follow the script. So he's trying to do the right thing, but he decided to wing it and add his own color here where it does not belong. So he's doing the right thing. He's doing okay. But geez, he's making it a lot harder and a lot longer for yourself. And guys, here's the thing: this guy, guess how long this 21-point checklist went? 3 hours. Why do you think it went 3 hours? He did awesome. He followed all the scripts, but he was making up all of his own stories, and all of his own stories took many of them 10 times longer than what it took me. And then it took even worse because they got confused. So then you can add another doubling of that. So now it took 20 times longer. Now, in the end, he got the deal because he's awesome. The people love him. He's following the script. He's just making it a lot easier or a lot harder on himself than it needs to be. A lot harder on himself than it needs to be. So here we go.
Is that going to be an easy decision to make for me, to make for myself? Or is that going to be a really tough decision to make?
Be tough.
Be tough, wouldn't it?
Tough.
Yeah. And it's tough for me to make for myself. How much more difficult, is it going to be easier or more difficult for Martha if she had to make that decision for me? Can you imagine? I mean, thank God that's just a hypothetical.
No, but that happens all the time.
Yeah, it really does. And that's why the doctors came up with it.
Okay, so has he said that making it, I heard him ask the question, would it be more or less difficult making that question? The guy did say, hey, it'd be tough making that decision on yourself. Did we hear them say that it would be harder to make a decision on somebody else yet? Have we heard the client, he asked the question, but did the client answer it the way he wanted him to answer it? No. He just assumed that the client was on board.
Because the living will mainly deals with right at the end of life. What this does, this document actually dials it down even closer than that. This would be completely off topic. It wouldn't have anything to do with church, but let's just say I stood up in front of our church one Sunday and I said, here's the thing, you've all been in a horrible, horrific car accident. You're all in excruciating pain. Now, we can give you this medication over here and it will take all that pain away. How many of you would like to have that pain taken away? Pretty much everybody's going to raise their hand at that point.
So he asked a great question, then what did he do? He asked a great question. Yeah, then he answered his own question. Guys, when you ask great questions, the whole purpose of asking questions is letting them answer it.
I mean, there might be a few weird, but for the most part, everybody, yeah, give me. I know my wife would be. She'd be the first one running down front to get it, all right? But then if they qualify it and they say, but here's the thing, all right? When you start to take that medication, it's going to affect the function of your mind. And things are going to really slow down for you. You're not going to be able to think clearly, those kind of things. Now, how many of you still want it? Is that going to change the number of hands that go up? It is, isn't it? Yeah. Personally, I have a fairly high pain tolerance.
You ask an open-ended question or a closed-ended question there? So it was closed-ended. So at this point, I have no clue whether they're on board with the 50-50. Making a decision on somebody else is very difficult. I have no clue whether they get the whole point of number 6 talking about, hey, everybody's going to be different when it comes to pain. One person says, again, guess what he did? Did he do the script? Those of you that have learned the Quality of Life Directive, gone through the tutorial, did he do the script for pain? let's say I'm at church, and why church? I have no clue. Well, let's say we're at church, and we ask people, hey, do you want to be in pain? Guys, he's putting his own spin on it, and is it making it better, or is it making it more convoluted and difficult for the client to follow? And more importantly, it's making his job more difficult because it's taking him 10 times as long. And here's the thing. Even by him doing that, now we have no clue whether they're on board or not. We didn't get their answer.
I would back away from that argument. No, I need everything I got working for me here. I can't afford to put it in at risk. All right, but Martha's amazing. I mean, she has no tolerance whatsoever. She would be up there in a heart. And that's really what this does. This qualifies and brings it down more than just, do I want the flood full, do I not want the flood? What does quality of life mean? Do you suppose that you and I define quality of life the same? No. Not at all, right? And that's what this is all about. It's helping your family, again, her, or in the event that she was gone, your kids, be able to, because the medical power of attorney that we just talked about gives somebody the authority to make those decisions.
So we're nearing the end of this script. At this point, should he be telling, selling, preaching at all? No. At this point, Jeff, you're right. This is the point. If you had to do some telling, selling, preaching, teaching up front, that's fine. But at this point, it's kind of like your test. You're testing out of this chapter. So when you're testing out of the chapter, the teacher doesn't tell you all the answers. The teacher what? Asks you for all the answers. And not true and false. He asks you for open-ended essay questions. So he needs to be asking open-ended questions here.
I don't get that something like this. It's actually a really cruel thing to just make somebody the medical. You guys have 5 kids. What are the likelihood that if we came up against a situation like that, and one of your kids, let's just take B out of the way, and let's say, and one of your kids have to make a decision like what we just talked about, are all 5 of them going to see that exactly the same? I mean, you might get lucky if you get 2 of them, right? I mean, just, and so what can happen then?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what, though? What did she just say there? Did you hear? The lady said they'll fight. So even though I've been picking apart what he's been doing here, did it work here? Do they understand without the quality of life directive, the kids could fight? Yes. She said, and he didn't tell her, she said they'll fight. So that's good. But he just made to get there, it was just way more difficult, and he's lucky that she was following along, because some people would not have been able to follow all along that he was doing there. But she was, so you know what, you give him an A for success and a C for execution. So here we go.
We have broken relationship. Again, just kind of like where we started with the survivor's guide. What this does is it gives the person that you've given that authority to make those decisions to go, here's where I'm making it. I'm not just arbitrarily doing this. I'm making this decision because here's how I see it. Okay? Again, this would be something that each of you would complete on your own. It does need to be notarized, and again, we can handle that for you. All right? Without that quality of life directive, what am I setting my family up for?
Disaster.
Yeah.
So without that quality of life directive, what did I set my family up for? And she said to fester. Perfectly done. Now, perfectly done. But now he needs to follow up. What's the question you should ask then? So that was an awesome question. What do we set up our family for if we don't have this done? To fester. So what should he follow up that question with? You could follow up with what kind of advisor would I be? Though this one is the one I probably wouldn't do that. This is the only one I wouldn't do that with because it's about medical things. Yes, Bonnie. Why do we need to get this done? Perfect, Bonnie. Yes, or Tim, how important is this? Yeah, awesome. That's good. But let's see if he does that. So there's a great question, but he's almost there. All he needed to do, if she says it's going to fester, then all you need to say, so why is it important to get this? Well, I don't want, get this and get it done. So I don't want my family to fester. So just maybe, she said it's going to cause this family to fester. Do we know if she's okay with that or not? For all I know, she's into S&M and she's fine with the family festering. She doesn't like the family. So she did say the family fester. So let's see if he follows through, or he's almost there and abandons it at the very end. So let's hear.
Yeah, that's actually a great word for it, disaster. Yeah, exactly. All right, so that would be something that we would definitely want to, I think, talk about getting something taken care of there. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about,
so what did he do at the very end? So that's something that we need to take care of. So did he tell, sell, preach, teach, or did he let her tell, or her and him tell him that they need to get that done? So at this point, do we know whether they even want that document or not? He's assuming they do, but does he know? He's assuming they do because she said, and I thought she said fester. I guess what he said there was she said was a disaster. So did she say? But did they ever say they needed that document? So Jeff, what happens when you do every part of the script right, but don't have that follow through? Same with a golf swing, baseball swing, tennis swing, throwing a football. What happens when you do everything right except for the follow through?
Yeah, it doesn't work. It still ends up off target. It still ends up off track.
So guys, he did all that work. Of course, he did a lot more work than he needed to because he didn't follow the script. But he did get where he needed to go, and he could have gotten it. But if they don't say out loud that they need that document, guess what's happening in their head? It's like at the doctor's. If I'm at the doctor's office and I'm 300 pounds overweight, and he says, what's going to happen if you don't lose weight? And I say, well, I'm going to die young. Does he know I'm going to do anything about it? Just because I say I'm going to die young doesn't mean I'm going to do anything about it. No. So he has to follow up and say, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to go on a diet. When? Well, tomorrow. How? Well, I'm going to call Weight Watchers. Now he knows I'm going to do something about it. So he said, what's going to happen if you don't have this document? It's a disaster. So he should have followed with well, then what are we going to do? When do we need to do it? Why would that be important? Then he would know they were going to actually take action. Just because she said it was going to be a disaster, does that any indication? Yes, it is an indication. I'm sorry, it is an indication. But is she locked in at all, or could she forget about that in 1 minute or 30 seconds? She needs to say she wants that document. You don't do all the work and then don't follow through, guys. And I'm going to give you one more example of that. We're going to jump up to titling, the very end of titling, okay? So very end of titling. And before we get there, or as I get there, what do we want the client to say at the end of titling, guys? What do we want the client to say at the end of titling in order to know we nailed it? Nobody knows this? He wanted to make money in me when I'm what, Bonnie? You want to make, very good, Bonnie. Some people are getting, but he wanted to make money on me when? When I'm dead. And then he wants to do the same thing to my kids. Perfect. That's what we want to hear. So here we go.
You suppose it was a big surprise to them that it had to go through probate? Or do you think that they probably knew about it? Sure. And why would an institution be more than happy to hold on to that money while it's going through that process? What are they going to do with it? Why? Are they just going to sit there and dust it off and have it all ready to go for the day she lost?
I'm sure they'd be honest with you if they just click if something happens, we got the money here waiting on you.
Well, and so let's come back to this situation with your kids, okay? So while this is going on, they're more than happy to sit on that. But are they going to be calling your kids every other day and saying, hey, here's the thing, we understand this is a real aggravation. We've got the checks made out. They're in the envelopes. As soon as this clears probate, we're going to get you those checks sent out in the mail so you don't even have to come talk to us. Or do you think that they might be trying to convince your kids to do something else while that process is going on? What are they going to try and convince them to do?
Just keep the money right where it's at.
Yeah, just leave it here. So why don't they talk about that form? We talk about nobody really wants to do it. Why don't these institutions deal with that right up front?
Oh, we need to check in on that.
Yeah. And again, that's something, we can help you.
Did she assign blame? No, she said we need to check up on that. So is he doing the job to get them to connect the dots that these people did not fill out the form on purpose to make money and then when they're dead and then on the kids? No blame yet. Let's see if he follows, because at this point, All she said was, yeah, we're going to have to check on that. Let's see if he follows up on that, knowing like, holy crap, that's not what I wanted. Guys, that if you don't follow the script perfectly, that will happen. And then all you need to do is recognize, oh, whoa, that's not what I wanted. I need to circle back and get what I need here. So let's see if he does.
Make sure that we got all those things in order, all right? So let me just quickly make a note that we need to address that. All right? So that's something we can definitely help you guys get taken care of when you come on board. So what's the issue with it going through probate? Your kids are ultimately going to get it.
Here's what this guy did great. He realized he didn't get what he wanted. So he's buying time, saying, I'm going to make a little note here. He's trying to figure out, I didn't get what I want. I need to circle back here. So he's creating conversation, knowing he needs to circle back and get what he needs. So let's see that that's what he was doing. Let me make a note here, and then he's going to go back in and try to get it the second time through. Let's see if he gets it.
But if you had your druthers, would you want them to have to go through that hassle, or would you rather what?
Well, it's going to be costly if they go through.
Yeah, I mean, last time I talked to an attorney, most of them are around $200 an hour. You know.
So why pay an attorney if the kids can get it?
Well, you're not interested in helping that attorney pay for his new house?
No.
Well, he's self-centered. So-and-so.
I know.
Man, you are one selfish guy, you know.
The one thing this advisor does is he has a great time with the clients. Clients love him because he's laughing all the way through the 3 hours, which makes them think the 3 hours is not 3 hours, they feel more like an hour and a half. So he does a great job of that. But even when you're doing a great job of being warm and friendly when they're learning these bad things, you still got them you got to get to the end where they tell you what you need to tell you. So let's see if he gets there.
All right, the next thing we want to talk about is your beneficiaries, and this one.
Did he get there, guys? Did they assign blame? Not even. Guys, and again, I cut this off. I just did the very end. This was actually about a 12 minutes he spent on the titling. So 12 minutes spent, and he got what for those 12 minutes? We need to go back to our guy and check that out. So what would you say to that, Jeff? How often does that happen when guys don't follow through?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I guess this is actually, from what I hear, this is actually a pretty typical tape for somebody who's starting out. You know, we talk about the fact that the only reason they'll leave is if they're dissatisfied with their guy. But I would tell you the first 3 times or 4 times that somebody does the 21, they still go back to their old habits of just saying, well, look, this is bad. And they say, yeah, it is bad. I'll take care of it for you. And this is bad. And they say, yeah, that is bad. I'll take care of it for you. You're just trying to use the 21 to say, look, all these things are wrong. But what happens when you do that is you get to the end, and they do, at the end, if all they're saying all the way through this thing is, you know what, I'm going to have to check with my guy. You know what, I'm going to have to look into that. Well, guess what they're going to say at the end more often than not? You know what? When you ask them, what do you want to do? Well, we want to get this fixed. Well, where do I fit in? And is this something that you want me to be hands-on, or is this more of an academic exercise? Well, I think we just need to go back and kind of look into some of these things and then kind of figure out what to do. So we could just call you when we get that done, which shouldn't be a surprise because that's what they've been saying the whole time during the whole meeting. They're never going to say something at the end of the meeting that they haven't said in the middle.
Say that again, Jeff.
They're never going to say something at the end that they didn't already say in the beginning or the middle of the meeting.
So guys, this is set up so that 21 times, not 21 times, but probably 17 times, they'll say their guy's disrespecting them in one shape or manner. What Jeff is saying there, if you don't have them say that he disrespected them in little ways, disrespected them in medium-sized ways, and disrespected them in big ways, but then at the end, you expect them to connect all the dots together where they've never once said the guy was disrespecting him, and at the end, you hope that now are going to say the guy's disrespecting him. It ain't going to happen. This is designed so you start off with them deciding he's disrespecting them in little ways, and then he's disrespecting them in mid-sized ways, and then he's disrespecting them in big-sized ways. So by the time you get to the end, you're not hoping they're going to say the guy's disrespecting him. They're PO'd. Not at the fact that they're paying too much in fees, not at the fact that their beneficiaries are wrong, not at the fact that they're taking more risks. What are they PO'd about at the end? What are they PO'd about at the end? What about the advisor? Yes, the guy's taking advantage of them. So here's a question that I hate, because I got 3 questions. How should he have saved it? F you, guys. F you. What should he have done? What should all of you have done? What would prevent him from even having to save it? Learn the effing script, guys. What have I been talking about for the last 6 months? Let's not figure out how to save things. Let's figure out how to make things go an hour-and-a-half meeting, and they tell you 17 times that the guy's disrespecting them, and then let's not worry about saving them. Let's go back and learn a friggin' script.
Yeah, the problem is when you get to the end, there is no saving it. That's like saying, okay, coach, it's 42-0. There's 2 minutes left. What can we do to save this? Nothing. Play better in the first and second quarter.
Jeff, you are the only, not you, Jeff, the other Jeff that's talking here. You're the only guy that hasn't sent me an email when you're going to get this stuff memorized. So you better send that to me before the end of the day, dude. So you're asking, how do we save this? And you haven't even given me a commitment on when you're going to learn the scripts. Learn the friggin' scripts. Okay? So guys, I can easily save those things. After 18 years, I sure in the hell hope I can. But why would you be worried about trying to save things at a high level? That's a high level skill when you don't need to by just learning the scripts. Why not do it the easy way? Just do it the easy way. But when you learn the scripts, you can't go 90% of the way. You can't even go 95% of the way. You got to get what we're trying. The whole scripts are set up to get at the very end. That I need that document and my guy's disrespecting me. That I need that document, the guy's disrespecting me. The guy's a lousy advisor. The guy only has his interests at heart. He doesn't care about me. You got to get to that point where at the end they're going to say, man, this is great information. Yeah, there's a lot of things for us to think about. Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. You know, we'll get back to you. And then bye-bye. You know you've done it right when they're saying, that son of a, how do we get, you know what, that man. And the wife looks at the husband and says, we're moving. That's when you know. When the wife looks at the husband and says, we're getting the hell away from that guy. Then you know you did it right. If you don't get that kind of reaction, guess what? And as Jeff Freeberg just said, there ain't no going back at that point. Unless you're willing to sit through another hour-and-a-half, 2-hour meeting. What's the likelihood you can get them to sit through another hour-and-a-half, 2-hour meeting so you can do it right the second time? So that meeting's gone. That meeting is bye-bye. But if that ever happens to you, what's that tell you? It has nothing to do about that with that client. What does it tell you guys? If the client says that at the end, what does that tell you? Learn the scripts, Fred. Learn the scripts. Learn the scripts. Learn the scripts. No, you guys. Some of you guys are saying we didn't do it right. We did it wrong. Bullshit. What does that do for you? Knowing that, you already know you did it wrong. So what does that do? I don't care that you know you did it wrong. What I care about is you saying what? I need to stop everything, and I need to be working how many hours a day to learn the scripts at that point? You shouldn't be seeing another client until you learn the scripts backwards and forwards at that point. Because you're saying, you know what? Every client they get in front of, every liquor and tiger guy I get in front of, they're going to come in, I'm going to give them free information, they're going to leave. I better sit down, do what I should have done in the first place, and learn these scripts, because if you learn the scripts, Jeff Freeberg, if you learn the scripts, will they at the end say, thanks, gave us a lot to think about, we'll call you?
No, not if you learn the scripts. They'll tell you, just like they've been telling you at the end of every topic, this guy is looking out for himself, not me. If they say that.
Make sense? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, over and over and over at the end, when you ask them, what do you want to do? They're going to say, well, we want to get away from him. Why? Well, like we've been saying, he's looking out for himself, not us.
So, please, 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 take these scripts. This guy ended up getting this client, but it took him 3 hours, and he's lucky that he got them, because he did not get them to say the things they needed to. But he's one of those he lucked on one of those people that just doing the 21-point checklist showed that he was different and showed that he cared. So one of those clients that will double your income just by doing the 21-point checklist. But he didn't do it well enough to quadruple, quintuple his income. He did it well enough to double his income. Guys, it requires the same amount of work to sit down with a client and have everybody come on board as it does to just have half the people come on board. So if he'd done all the work up front, and again, unfortunately, he did all the work up front, but he didn't have the cojones to finish off and get them to sign the motive. You got to get them to sign motive. So hopefully this helps. Are you guys good with us doing tape reviews about once a month or so? Is this helpful? Got one yes. Cool. So we'll keep doing them once a month. Okay? Super duper. You guys have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.